your career wraps up there at Purdue, and then you briefly get into insurance
Yeah.
sales. Is that right?
No, I was a group insurance underwriter.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was
And
a bad guy. I don't want to disparage the
no, I
industry,
got you, but
but I was in a program, and then what I did was for small groups, the actuaries sent their suggestion about rates, and then from the experience, from over the time that a small group had been with the company and rated it against claims, and then sent out the letters to say what you were going to pay,
right.
and whether your premium was going to stay the same or go up. And at that time in the you're talking late 80s, medical rates were starting to
Right.
really go up, and it was a difficult
Yeah.
situation, but it was a great situation. The people there, a guy named Jerry Simler ran the company, and he had about six kids that went to Purdue. So
Mhm.
it was a great experience for me, but and one I'm real happy to have had. But it just at the time it just wasn't me,
And,
and
and
I just was there, and I could have stayed there forever and
right.
been real productive. It was a great job that you start at one place and you're just gonna keep moving up, and as a matter of fact, I got a letter um, this year, last couple of years, from a guy who was my boss
Right.
from that company, and said, it worked out,
Yeah.
the way things should have worked out, and who knew at the time, but I just wanted to do something else. So I picked up the phone. I called a couple different people. Uh, my ex-head coach, Leon Burtonette. I called um, a guy named Ray Sherman, who was a long-time NFL coach,
Right.
but was a running back coach at the time, and I called Joe Tiller, and I said, "Hey, listen, I've heard that there's a situation out there. I really don't know what I want to do, but I'm in a situation here that's a good situation, but I'm not sure if I want to leave, what I want to do. But I said, there's if if I can go to school, grad school, and become a graduate assistant somewhere, and that'll buy me some time. And if I come back because of the education deal, it'll help me here if I
Right.
figure out that's what I want to do.
Sure.
But I don't know if I want to coach either. So
Yeah.
um, they made a few calls, and Joe Tiller said and said there's a guy named Mike Price who I think I'm getting ready to go to work for. And I said, well, who's that? He said, well, he was at Weber State. I said, where?
Right.
I had no idea.
Right.
I was in my own little Big Ten world,
Sure.
Weber State, what's that? He said, well, he's going to be the new head coach at Washington State, and because Dennis Erickson's leaving to go to Miami. I said, oh, okay, now we're talking about some places that I've heard of.
Yeah, Miami. Yeah, I heard of that one.
So this guy's leaving Washington State to go to Miami, and he said, yeah, and he said, and so Mike Price is going to be the head coach there, and I think I'm going out there, and Coach Doba, who was a linebacker coach, um, is going to be a linebacker coach too. And he said, but I'm going to move over to offense. A lot of people don't know this. Joe Tiller was the defensive coordinator at
Oh,
Purdue,
okay.
and
Yeah.
with me, he was
Yeah.
and he said, so all right, so I quit my job, and I went out there in the summer, and got started. And Bill Doba, who was still moving, and so they needed a guy to coach the linebacker part of camp, which is what's going on out here right now. And Joe Tiller said, Kevin can do it. He knows what we did, and so I ran that part of the camp, and then that's what I guess I just started coaching from then on,
Right.
and that's how I got started.
And it's amazing because we've talked about this before. I mean, you played defense, so a lot of people when they say, okay, he's this offensive mind, they didn't realize you were a defensive player, but you switched over to offense, and the rest is history. Right?
I was there, and like I said, I played a lot of different positions in high school, offensively, and you grow up and your dad's a coach. You've been around it all your life, but there's no doubt that being over there and going through defense, and I walked in there, and Coach Price said, I got two things I want to do. He said, we got a JV junior varsity team, and he said, first thing I want you to do is I want you to move the offense and learn what we're doing. We're a little bit different than a lot of people. We're one back and no backs, empty, and a little bit of motion, all kinds of stuff that people don't really do, and a lot of them don't understand. But it gives us a chance to win. I said, yeah, I've seen that, and he said, if you learn what we're doing, and then and you want to coach, you'll have a job forever. And that's been true.
Right.
And he said, the second thing is we got a JV job here. I said, what do you mean JV? He says, he goes, I want you to be the head coach of the junior varsity team. And it's my last year at Washington State as a graduate assistant. And I said, well, that's great. I said, but I'm still going to work with the receivers, with the other guys. He said, yeah. He said, but here's your budget. And he handed it to me the paper that said 0 on it. He goes, you have no budget, you have no money. He said, but you have the staff of the rest of the GAs. And we had, at that time, and we had volunteer assistant coaches. So we had 4 or 5 guys. Greg Olson, who is at the Raiders, and just a number of guys that were Blaine Bennett, who's a head coach now, and Rick Mueller, who's Randy Mueller's brother. Rick's, I think he's director of player personnel of the Eagles. So we're all GAs together, and and I think after we left, then Mike was really good with young coaches. After I left, I know Jeff Banks was a GA for him, played for him, and the head coach at Vanderbilt was a GA for him. And he's had a bunch of different guys that were young guys, and at the time on the staff, Mike Zimmer was the defensive coordinator, was the youngest D coordinator in the Pac-10, and Joe Tiller was the offensive coordinator. So, it was a great place to be and to learn. And but the career, I guess your career start is to become the head JV coach. And he says, I'll tell you this, here's what you got. You're going to schedule games, and we're going to play junior colleges all around here. And then, if we can get Air Force, or they have JV teams, but they're a little bit, but he says, what we want to do is we want to recruit a little bit. So I want you to get these guys, and we go out to a couple different junior colleges, but I want to get a couple of these guys here on campus, play games. And he goes, you can take a couple of walk-ons. He said, but the best part of this is there's good news and bad news. I said, what's that? He goes, I'm going to give you this, and I'm going to give you this, our quarterback, our young guy. And it was Drew Bledsoe. And he said, the good news is, by game 4 or 5 for us, I want him to be ready to play. And I said, that's great. He goes, that's the good news. The bad news is, if he gets hurt, you're fired. Remember what I told you about a job forever? He said, no, you're fired from here. You'll never work again. So that was that. So That's kind of how I got started.
So if he'd have gotten hurt, where would you be sitting right
I'd
now?
probably be back in that office,
Yeah.
trying to raise somebody's rates again. But that's that's why I think and I'm forever indebted to Coach Price
Right.
and to Joe Tiller, and just how they looked out for me and got me started, and the fact that after that Joe Tiller became the head coach at Wyoming, and called me, I think, the day after Christmas and offered me a job. I had no idea. He just told me to come to the convention. The convention was in New Orleans. Bring whatever you needed for the next 2 weeks, and I got a job for you. And I didn't ask him how much or what it was or whatever. I just was in New Orleans, and it's a good thing I didn't, because I keep it in a little deal. I made $19,006 as the wide receiver coach at Wyoming, but was happy to have it.
Sure.
And we got back there, and I'll never forget that we flew back there. We had a quick meeting, and he said, "You're recruiting Dallas." And I said, "Great." And I jumped on a plane, and I got a map and a list of names and where schools were, and flew to Dallas Sunday night, and that was a whole different experience.
And what year was that?
That would be 90.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, probably 90.
And that was really your introduction to this
To
this
recruiting,
state.
yeah.
Yeah.